So the live brass band in full effect once again here at the Samara Academic Opera and Ballet House. And making his way to the ring, Denis GUBAREV. From right here in Russia. The 6-round contest designated as an IBA.PRO event, which means it will not necessarily appear on his pro record. 6-bar professional is Gubarev, 4 wins and 2 losses.
Он также представляет Россию. Дамы и господа, приветствуйте Basir ABAKAROV!
His opponent is Basir ABAKAROV, an undefeated professional through 11 bouts, having made his debut way back in April of 2017. He's got lots of experience in kickboxing as well. This shaping up to be a contest between 2 towering boxers in the heavyweight division. Each of them stand around 6 feet 5 inches tall.
Итак, дамы и господа, нас ожидают 6 раундов бокса в тяжелом весе. В дело вступают по-настоящему большие парни, во время поединка которых мы традиционно рекомендуем вам не моргать, а то пропустите все самое интересное. Представляю боксеров и первого бойца слева от меня в черном углу. Ему 26 лет, его рост 195 сантиметров, а вес 110 килограммов и 650 граммов. Он мастер спорта России с профессиональным рекордом 6 боев, 4 победы при 2 поражениях, 2 победы нокаутом. Дамы и господа, из Москвы, Россия, Денис Губарев! Его сопернику напротив, в золотом углу ринга, 33 года. Рост 198 сантиметров, официальный вес 107 килограммов и 850 граммов. Он чемпион России, Европы и мира по кикбоксингу, заслуженный мастер спорта, и его рекорд безупречен. 11 боев, 11 побед, 9 из них досрочно. Представляющий Избербаш, Дагестан, Россия, Basir ABAKAROV!
So both men to center ring for the final instructions. Sergei Zhurkin, the third man in the middle.
Голову выше, ниже пояса, не бить, не держать. Слушайте, выполнять команды. Удачи.
So here's a look at the tail of the tape then. Confirmation that each of these men standing around the 6'5" mark. And it promises to be a really intriguing affair. It's scheduled for 6 3-minute rounds. These 2 heavyweights seeking to make an impression among the big men. You can see that it's ABAKAROV, the man wearing the white trunks trimmed with gold, who is the slightly taller of the 2. He's the man with the kickboxing background, hasn't been in a professional boxing ring since he beat the fantastically named Big Sexy Sean Turner out of Ireland. He was out of the ring for a long time before that. Some 5 years out of the ring, and that was back in 2023. Stopped Sean Turner right here in Russia in the 3rd round of a contest scheduled for 6. And again, he brings that kickboxing background into his pugilism. The man wearing the black trunks trimmed with gold is Denis GUBAREV, 26 years of age, born in Yekaterinburg, resides in IBA.PRO. Both men just seeking to establish the range through the first half of this opening round. Beautiful punch picking with straight shots from GUBAREV, getting in between the high-held gloves of ABAKAROV. Abakarov just operating from that low held guard and bringing up the jab from beneath the line of sight. George Groves was a former outstanding kickboxer, former WBA super middleweight champion of the world, and he used to operate in a similar fashion. So many operators who have gone on to big things in professional boxing have a background in kickboxing. The WBC heavyweight champion of the world, Vitaly Klitschko, now on the political scene, but he too a former kickboxer. You can see that low held left as he's just swinging it in front of his quad and then snapping it out as he gets more comfortable in the opening round. Abakarov in an altogether more conventional style, hands up, bracketing his head, rolling inside the punches and looking to uncoil with combinations. Just as he's doing there was Gubarev. Looking out a jab to the body, but didn't quite get full purchase on it. Change of lead left, neither man particularly accurate during the attempted trade-off. Solid jab once again, and good defensive maneuver with the right hand to answer the telephone and get that right forearm up in a defensive position to fire, to ward off the incoming left hook that was slung in by Abakarov. Some of the action from the opening round. Each man seeking to establish their lead left hand. Slapping left hook landed by Gubarev. But then as the round progressed, that shot, the left jab from around the quad, was cracked out repeatedly by Abakarov. So it was an effective shot indeed.
Box.
So into the second round then. This heavyweight contest scheduled for the 6th, and right on cue to begin the second round is that lead left stick once again. And look at the contrast in how Gubarev fires out his left jab. Something that you'll see from the textbook, from the coaching manual. Seems to roll his way inside once again. The man working at close quarters with any particular effectiveness. But it can be a real deterrent, that jab from around the hip. Again, like so many former kickboxers, you can see Abakarov so comfortable in employing that layback, putting so much weight on the back foot, and again putting combinations together now, perhaps for the first time in the contest, just beyond a minute gone in this second round. Just trying to get a closer look at the right eye of Gubarev to see whether he's sustained an injury. Abakarov to turn a right uppercut underneath. Gubarev is letting his hands go on the inside now. Man we saw presenting the WBA Asia Bridgerweight title belt just a few moments ago, Evgeny Tishenko. He's around the same height as these two boxers, and he was a terrific inside fighter. Just to unfurl uppercuts, just as Abakarov did there, despite his long levers. A comparatively stringy appearance compared to some of the more muscular operators up at 90 kilograms and above. Remember Riddick Bowe, the 1988 Olympic silver medalist, he too, 6'5" out of Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. He too was a magnificent inside fighter despite his towering stature and long limbs. So, continuing to cut a relaxed figure is Abakarov. Again, hasn't spent much time in the boxing ring. Having been away since July of 2023. We get a closer look at the reddening around the face of Gubarev. But plenty of combat experience in that kickboxing discipline.
Не толкать, не толкать.
Left hand slung into the body from Gubarev. And now both men seeking to get some more leverage onto their shots, but you just get the sense that Abakarov, oh, that's a nice counter right uppercut attempt, but then there was a left hook which came in immediately after it from Gubarev. Terrific exchange in the middle of the boxing ring in the closing stages of this round. There's the counter right uppercut from Abakarov. Sought to unfurl that on a couple of occasions in this round, but Gubarev, showing that he is here to fight, seeks to answer back immediately. Abakarov, he continues to find his range, looking for that counter right uppercut repeatedly during the course of that second round.
Басир, не держать. Шаг назад, шаг назад. Бокс.
So to round number 3 then. Stiff jab snapped out by Abakarov. But then look at that rapid fire double jab at mid-range from Gubarev.
Не держим, Басир, не держать.
Referee Mr. Sergei Zherdkin aligned the two boxers to work on the inside. While the slapping with the left hand there was Gubarev.
Stop! Stop! Stop!
Oh dear me.
Команду слушай.
Clear commands of stop from the referee Mr. Sergei Zherdkin, but completely disregarding them was Basir ABAKAROV. Putting his man on the ropes and helping himself to a couple of what were effectively free shots. I say effectively because even though he had stopped fighting, Gubarev was still defending himself.
Не держим, Басир, не держим. Головами аккуратно.
So really putting some back foot into that lead left hand now is Abakarov. Continuing to press his way forwards is Gubarev, but neither man particularly accurate for any sustained period. That's a lovely lead left jab once again, though. That is such a damaging and, dare I say it, discouraging shot. By the time it arrives at his target, it is loaded with leverage. And again, it's as though you're snapping a chain or a whip, and by the time you pull on it, the tip of that whip at the other end really does snap out with some force and can inflict serious damage. That's the manner in which Basir ABAKAROV is throwing that lead left hand. Counter right uppercut was really effective for him in the second round. But again, both men seemingly so committed to their offense that increasingly they're finding themselves in that posture once the initial foray is completed, as we see here, shoulder to shoulder, chest to chest. There was a nice left hook down to the body from Abakarov. But Gubarev, he too, remember, around 6 feet 5 inches tall at 1.95 meters. So not suggesting he's ideally suited for operating in that type of territory, but he's slightly shorter. At least that's what the eye test suggests. So maybe a little more comfortable operating at close range than his taller opponent. But of course, at this height, he's going to be taller than most of the boxers at his weight, so perhaps the inside game isn't something that either man practices extensively. You see a flurry of punches attempted by Abakarov just before the bell to conclude round number 3. And on the command of stop, each man reluctant to disengage once again. 3 rounds in the book, taking us to the halfway stage of this contest that's scheduled for 6.
Него не надо защиту делать. Понял меня? Ударил, отскочил, ударил, в сторону ушел. Услышал меня? Он вообще, он тоже устал. Он больше тебя устал. Давай.
Some of the action from that third round, it got rather untidy at times, heads coming together on the inside, the two men bumping chest and shoulders. Physical encounter.
Проигрываешь, когда он тебя вяжет.
Neither man really showing consistent quality at close range. The flurry of punches from Abakarov. Thought to push his man back.
Samara, поддержите боксера.
Будешь держать, накажу. Стоп, стоп. По затылку аккуратно. Окей? Бокс.
So 3 rounds completed, a potential 3 rounds remain in this IBA.PRO contest scheduled for 6. And again, this won't necessarily appear on the professional records of the two boxers in the event that they don't want them to.
Шаг назад. Держишь. Бокс.
So IBA.PRO, in addition to giving us terrifically competitive contests,
Не разговаривать.
opportunity is there for those who are unsure about whether they should transition from the 3-round format of IBA and Olympic boxing, as another jolting left jab is rammed into the face of Gubarev by Abakarov. This can serve as something of a barometer, something of a gauge as to how they feel about it once they ditch the vest and test themselves over a duration longer than 3 minutes. Not the case for either of these men, of course, because each of them are experienced professionals now.
Шаг назад.
Gubarev made his debut in June of 2020 and has run off 4 wins since then. He too hasn't been in the ring for the best part of a year in the professional ranks, but has switched back to the 3-round format where he's competed extensively in tournaments across Russia.
Стоп! Стоп! По затылку
So
аккуратно.
that is the fluid nature of boxing in this era. Was a case back in the day that amateurs and professionals, I say amateur, that term doesn't even exist anymore given the prize money that's on offer. But 3-round boxers and professional boxers couldn't even occupy the same gym, certainly couldn't have the same trainers. But now we see so much fluidity, so much crossing of ranks. Remember, it first came in 2012 when WSB boxers were permitted to compete in the Olympic Games, even more so in Rio 2016. And Hassam Dam Gcam was allowed to compete, so too Amnat Ruenrong, former world champion, were allowed to compete on the 3-round stage of the Olympic Games, and now there's complete fluidity, with boxers going from one format to the other as a nice counter right hand scores over the top from Abakarov.
Не держим, не держим. Шаг назад, Басир, шаг назад. Денис по спине аккуратно.
So looking to get busy with his right hand is Gubarev, but he's being pieced up as he's coming forwards here now by these rapid fire combinations. Abakarov has seemingly found not only his rhythm but his distance as well. He's been timing these combination shots very effectively indeed in the final stages of that 4th round. Perhaps his most commanding round to date in a contest where I think he has the upper hand. But this man's still in it with 2 rounds scheduled to remain. So there's an example of the jab from the hip being shot out by Abakarov to catch his man as he's coming in to double up the impact. Nice counter right uppercut from Abakarov, that's causing Gubarev to become a little disorganized, but he's never stopped pressing Gubarev, perhaps guilty of coming forward in straight lines without any head movement. Having seen him in the past, this is very much how he operates, likes to get over that front foot and set things up with a clumping left jab. There's that whiplash of a lead left hand once again, just snapped up from the belt line beneath the nose of Gubarev, and he found a home for it immediately. It's not only a point-scoring punch, it can be a real irritant as well, but at this weight, remember, Abakarov weighing in at 107.85 kilograms, 3 kilograms lighter than his opponent Gubarev tonight, but when you push off the back foot and even what appears to be a light jab, it's going to have plenty of pop on it. Cause the eyes to water, maybe rattle the nerves if you catch the man on the point of the chin, scramble his senses if it goes up around the temple. Gubarev looking for his own jab once again, but there's a two-shot combination in rapid-fire fashion from Abakarov. Standing stock still near the black corner, almost goading his man to try and breach his defenses, because he's been made to pay a heavy toll at present. Burst of punches from Abakarov. So Gubarev trying to respond with a two-shot cluster of his own. So plenty of feinting being put forth by Abakarov, just trying to draw a lead from Gubarev that he can counter, and he's counter-punched pretty effectively in the latter stages of this contest. Took a look in the opening round, and from the second round on, he's demonstrating that he's increasingly comfortable as he turns that right uppercut underneath again, and that was in real evidence in round number 2. In the fourth round, started to put his combinations together, giving the impression that he's found his distance here now to go with his timing, and there's another two-shot combination from Abakarov before he became a little disorganized, flopping down at the waist. Solid left jab of the single variety from Gubarev. But again, spending so much time in this territory. Credit to Gubarev for trying to work away. But it's a lot of clock being killed here, and I get the impression that the clock is the friend of Abakarov and the foe of Gubarev here now, because I think the man in the white trimmed with gold is doing the better work. It's a little cleaner, perhaps a little more authoritative. Can't fault the effort or not the hustle of Gubarev, the man in black trimmed with gold. But again, look at that, single lead left without reply, and using the space of the boxing ring very effectively indeed. It's been precious little head movement from Gubarev. Now he's trying to get some head movement into his work. Oh, there's a fantastic right uppercut as he came out of the crouch and peered from behind his peekaboo defense. He was met with a right uppercut that was turned underneath from Abakarov, final punch of that 5th round. So some of the action from round number 5. Good double left hand, body then head from Gubarev. Illustrative of the way that 5th round unfolded, making his man miss, then making him pay with a crisp right uppercut to conclude the stanza from the right fist of Abakarov.
Пожали руки, последний раунд. Стоп, стоп, стоп. Боксируем, не боремся. Бокс!
So into the 6th and final round we go. For what it's worth, I happen to think that the man wearing the white trimmed with gold will be ahead on the scorecards. Counter right hand over the top came from Gubarev after he was fed another left jab. There's another two-shot combination, left-right from Abakarov. Rough on the inside, the arm bar applied from Gubarev. And the referee, Mr. Sergei Zherkin, has had his hands full tonight. Boxers seem to be of the impression that his instructions are mere suggestions, and they'll carry them out as and when they feel like, rather than obeying the command, which is the letter of the law. So showed good footwork and defensive reflexes for the majority of this contest has Abakarov. Gubarev always seeking to press, but before he can get his own offense away, he's often touched up with singles like that, little flurries of punches, not necessarily packed with power, but he's effective at spinning off the line as well is Abakarov, meaning that Gubarev is having difficulty planting his feet, setting and coming again. almost like a train on tracks at times, is Gubarev, coming forward in straight lines. And you've got a dynamic operator like the kickboxing expert Basir ABAKAROV in front of him. It's almost as though he's having to stop, change on the points, change direction, and then press again, rather than being able to cut off the ring and pursue his man with incessant pressure. Exchange of left hands during that coming together. You get the sense that ABAKAROV can afford to enter bout management mode here now. And the onus is on Gubarev to try and find the finishing salvo. There was nothing on that combination from ABAKAROV. Looking busy, not really doing much at all in terms of point-scoring punches. But he's busy enough to keep the man in the black trimmed with gold occupied. And in the meantime, he's not able to launch the finishing fusillade that he would need. He did so there behind some straight punches, then got altogether closer with a right hand. He adopting the low-held guard now. Double jab, right cross, saw the shots inaccurate. But the crowd up on their feet for their spirited finish as both men were seeking to let their hands go before falling into another clinch. So there's the bell to conclude that heavyweight contest. 6 rounds in the book, and the fans in attendance here at the Samara Academic Opera and Ballet House appreciating the effort put forth by both of these boxers over 6 3-minute rounds. I'm just trying to get a look as to whether that is Ballet, who just crowned himself as the WBA Asia Bridgerweight champion tonight, getting Denis Gubarev of Montenegro out of there in the opening round. Solid left jab landed by Gubarev, and he landed that consistently, but just not often enough. It was perhaps his best shot of the contest. And in between the activity that ABAKAROV was throwing, I'm just not sure that he had enough successes over the course of the contest to be declared as a victor here tonight. But he never stopped competing, but perhaps just not enough work overall over the course of the bout. But of course, it all comes down to the verdict of the 3 scoring judges. I'll be hearing their opinions. And MC Alexander Sadokov delivers the verdict in just a few moments' time.
Дамы и господа, прежде чем мы узнаем имя победителей, давайте поблагодарим обоих боксеров за этот яркий бой. Итак, дамы и господа, в этом тяжеловесном поединке, где интрига висела до самых последних секунд боя, большинством судейских голосов победу по очкам одержал боксер из золотого угла Basir ABAKAROV.
So it's a majority decision victory for Basir ABAKAROV. He has his hand raised as the victor. One wonders what sentiments are being exchanged between the 2 rivals after that show of respect upon the announcement. Gubarev never stopped competing, but it was rather untidy at times on the inside. No such difficulties for Ballet in his 1-round victory over Dilan Prasovic in our second bout of the evening. This was our third, and it's the former kickboxer back in the ring for the first time since July of 2023, Basir ABAKAROV, who's made it a successful ring return. Showed some beautiful moments of quality, cameos of counter-punching success, particularly in the second round with that right uppercut. In the fourth and fifth round, he put combination punches together like this. But Abakarov was met with a spirited opponent tonight because Gubarev, who didn't show much in the way of head movement, was always looking to answer back. Possesses a clumping left jab, and he found the range with that, particularly in the sixth and final round. But overall, I just don't think he did enough. And it's Abakarov who will be declared as a majority point decision victor.